Well, hello, everyone. This is Tina Heisman, Certified Master Life Coach specializing in marriage. We are here today on our live marriage coaching call, where each week I try to provide you with tips and inspiration for how to have the happiest marriage that you can. So before we get started, I want to let you know that I have a free private Happy Wives community on Facebook where you can come to get inspiration for your marriage. The web address for that is facebook.com/groups/The Happy Wives Community. If you can't remember that, it might be a little long, you can head over to my website, tinaheisman.com, and there's a banner at the bottom of the front page that you can just click on. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic. I have actually heard from other moms who feel this way, and that's what motivated me to talk to you guys about this today. The topic is how to not feel resentful when your husband travels. So it's a little embarrassing to admit sometimes when I'm in my rational mind, I guess, but sometimes I feel and act resentful or angry when my husband has to travel for work. I don't like to feel this way. I know he's just doing his job, and I wish I didn't feel that way. But the truth is that negative thoughts and feelings creep up on me. You know, he's somewhere warm. I'm somewhere cold. He's just worrying about himself, going to his meetings or taking care of his business. But I'm stuck in my mind here at home doing his job and my job. It's just a breeding ground for resentment. And I've heard this story from other women as well. So I thought I'd share a true story with you about one time when I totally lost it over a business trip. He was in Tampa, and the moment he landed, he sent me a picture of a beautiful sunny day because he thought I would be excited for him. Well, apparently he caught me on a bad day because my reply was a bit bitter. It was something like, "Lucky you." And I felt that way. I remember, stuck in the Chicago weather, and he's off, having fun in Tampa. So I'm not proud of feeling that way. I'm not, but that's where I was. And I think sometimes as a stay-at-home mom, it's hard to see your spouse get to travel all over to exciting destinations when you're stuck at home, and that's just where I was. And so, this trip starts to go forward for him, and I forgot about this little nasty reply and moved on about my business, but my husband didn't. In his mind, my response to that told him that I was not happy for him. That hurt him and made him feel disrespected and unloved. And instead of talking to me about it, though, he stuffed it and kind of used it as ammunition in how he would treat me for the rest of his business trip. So that's not right either. But I can see where I started it with my negative attitude. So we texted on and off over the couple of days that he was gone, and I kind of thought everything was fine, but it wasn't. And on the last night of his trip, our kids had a school music concert, which, I was bummed that he was missing it. And so after the concert, we texted him a video of one of the songs, but we got no reply. And so then I started to wonder, and I sent him another message, no reply. And now I'm starting to get anxious, wondering, why is he not replying? Is everything okay? What's going on? And I know he has his phone on him at all times. Trust me, this thing drives me crazy when he's in my presence. I know it's on him. You know what I'm saying? Why is he not answering me? So honestly, I had rising anxiety, and I called him, no answer. I called him again, no answer. Several times in a row. At this point, I'm literally in panic mode. And I've only probably been in this place in my life a few times, but it was like a panic attack, I was having trouble breathing, and I was just all kinds of stressed out. And finally, he called back, and then he could tell by my reaction I was freaking out, and then that made him angry. He just made him angry. He's I guess what I would say is he went into blame mode, and he started accusing me of not wanting him to have any fun without me. And I felt like that was a really low blow. Maybe that was as low as my lucky you comment. And it made me feel angry that he would accuse me of that. It's not that. It's not that I don't want him to have fun. I just was stuck in feeling sorry for myself with where I was. So at night on the phone, I could tell that he had had a couple of beers, and so there really was no reason to continue that conversation. I don't know about you guys, but it's just not wise. When one of you has been drinking, it's not wise to continue a conversation that is already heated and ugly. And so we just said goodbye and hung up the phone. And that's actually a lesson that I think is important. And Shaunti Feldhahn shares this lesson in her book. I think it's called Surprising Secrets of Highly Happy Couples, where, how, like in the Bible, we think it tells us that we should never go to bed angry. Well, if you look more closely at the scripture, I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's saying, like, do not let the sun go down on your anger. Do not sin when you're angry. So when you are, engaged in a brawl at night with your husband verbally, because you're upset about something and he's upset about something, it might be better. And actually research proves that the happiest married couples sleep on it. Let's table this till tomorrow when we're not so tired, because sometimes things just seem so much less troublesome in the morning when you get a good night's sleep. And so that was the tactic that we took there, and mostly because I could tell it wasn't going to work, but I'm glad we did, because I was so angry. Like, how could he accuse me of not wanting him to have fun? How could he think that? It's so far from the truth. I love him and I want to have fun, but I was there taking care of the kids all by myself. And, you're alone a lot when you're a stay-at-home mom, taking care of the kids by yourself. And your husband probably thinks you're like living the life, but really, it can be really hard and lonely sometimes. And so honestly, I was jealous, right? But it doesn't give me the right to take away from his enjoyment of it or to not be happy for him or show him that. Sometimes you got to get out of your own head, right? So the next morning I woke up early and I grabbed my computer to take some notes about what I wanted to say to him about that experience. And I had an epiphany after I slept on it. So good tactic sometimes, right? I realized that his accusation at me that I didn't want him to have any fun was only his emotional response to my emotional response. Does that make sense? Like it wasn't true. It was not true. It was just his way of telling me how hurt he was by what I said and how it made him feel. And so I saw that the whole reason that I was freaking out was about not being able to get a hold of him. It's really just that I wanted to be made to feel safe and loved, and that those are basic necessities of marriage. I had texted him something, exciting that our kids did, something that was important in the lives of our kids and that he would normally be a part of, and he wasn't there and he wasn't getting back to me, and my mind totally went haywire. So when we spoke again, he told me the reason that he did not share his plans with me was that for that night, and why he wasn't answering his phone. He was at a concert where it was very loud, and so it makes sense. But he said he didn't want another nasty reply, like, lucky you. And he said that he was aware that I was feeling down about being stuck at home while he was out having fun, and he didn't want to make it worse. So, his response was not correct in how he handled my lucky you comment. It should have been a frank conversation about how that made him feel, not a passive-aggressive tactic like cutting me off from communication, because that only resulted in worse. And so, we both made mistakes there that we were able to see after the fact and own them and then clean them up. And what I want you guys to see here are the feelings that happened, like in the emotional responses that led to further emotional responses, and then a lack of honesty and communication that caused distress on both ends of the phone. So, this is just one of my stories. It's the worst one. But how do we not feel resentful when our husbands travel? That's the million-dollar question, right? I've learned a lot about all this stuff over the years through all of my coaching training and working with clients, and the research that I continue to do on marriage and relationships. And one of the conclusions I've come to in this case is it's one of those times where we need to boss our feelings around. And we have, by that I mean, we have a choice when we feel resentful and angry. We can allow it or we can change it. But we also need to be honest about it. So one method is to be honest with your husband about how you're feeling. You could share your joy with him, but then be honest that you wish you were there too, right? Can you imagine how much better that conversation could have gone if I would have said, oh, that looks so beautiful. I'm so jealous. Have so much fun and bring me back some sunshine or something like that. Like if I could have been in that place instead of the resentful place. And aside from that is one of the biggest pieces of it, and I'm going to teach you about this, is that when we're feeling that way in our marriage, whether our husband is traveling or not, what is needed is that we need to take better care of ourselves in mind, body, and spirit. Because the reason that I was feeling resentful in that case was that I wasn't doing a good job taking care of myself. So we have to start with controlling our mind. And, your mind can really twist things up if you'll just let it go along doing what it's doing. We don't have to put up with that, right? We can transform our negative thoughts into positive ones. So this is our tip number 1 for today. We want to transform our negative thoughts into positive ones. So I want you to tell yourself something different, a different story. Your story in your head is, I'm stuck at home while he's out having fun. So what could be a happier story? Yes, it's hard that he's gone, but it's for work, and it's a job that our family needs. Or I know that he would rather be here with us than gone. Or reminding yourself, he loves us very much. Another one that helps is he won't be gone forever. It's just a few days. So turning that story around in your mind, because whatever you're telling yourself and whatever you're focusing on is what you're going to notice more. So if you just keep telling yourself, I'm stuck at home and he's having fun, I'm stuck at home and he's having fun, then that's what you're going to focus on. So since we're having this conversation, we know that that is not what we want. So we're going to tell ourselves a happier story. So find one that comes up for you. Take your pen and paper out and do some journaling and see what could be a new story that you could tell yourself. And you might have to do this for every trip, but I bet you with practice you'll get really good at it. So the second tip, and this is an important detail, is that you need to take care of yourself. You need to give yourself extra grace when your husband is not home there to help you. And understand it's okay for you to feel this way. Like, it's understandable. So, let yourself feel it for a minute, then work with your mind and transform it, and find ways to take care of yourself, like maybe getting some extra help with your kids. I don't know if it's feasible for you with where you live or with your financial situation, but is there a way that you could ask a friend or a family member for some extra hands? I know I am so guilty of this. Like, I am independent, I am strong, and I can handle this by myself. Well, that's going to get you in a whole lot of trouble, and that's very much why I was in my resentful state of mind at that point. But one of the things that I used to do when my kids were younger was to have a teenager come over like 2 days a week after school from just 4 to 6 p.m., during the bewitching hour when the kids everybody's hungry and crabby, and so it was someone else for them to play with and focus on, and that allowed me a little bit of break where I could get some work done maybe around the house or on my business. So, you could think about little things like that, and I really looked forward to that time. That helped me a lot. And so another thing to consider is if your kids are old enough, ask for some extra help from them. Like, hey, guys, all hands on deck. Dad's out of town. See what they can do around the house to help you. One thing that really helps me is to do something fun that I normally wouldn't do, like to get out of our routine, get out of the house. For me, there's just so much joy in getting out of the house. I have to get out of the house. So, maybe you wouldn't normally go to a park during a normal school week, or maybe you wouldn't normally go out for ice cream or out for dinner or a movie or over to visit a friend or a family member. That's something that I would do once we moved up here to Chicago. Like, I could go visit my family. They're within an hour, and that might not be something I would normally do during the week. So looking for ways to get out of your regular routine to make it more joyful for you. I could talk on that for long, but I won't. I'll keep going. Here's something I think is so important, and that's simplify your meals. This is not the time to be stressing yourself out with what you're making for dinner. And everything doesn't always have to be homemade or, perfect balance. And sometimes we could have breakfast for dinner. I know that was a big tip that my mom gave me one time, was to have breakfast for dinner. Or maybe what if you made kind of like a bigger dish in the beginning of the week or the beginning of his trip so that you could just kind of nibble on it while he was gone. And then I would still say get out for dinner, because I don't know about you, but for me, like if I was just eating the same thing all week and he's out telling you about all these wonderful restaurants he's eating and all this great food, you might start to feel resentful again. So treat yourself to something that you would love, okay? And here's the other thing. You might be needing a trip yourself. So could you plan a trip with your husband? Maybe it's not on an airplane. Maybe you're just going to drive somewhere local and get away for a day or two. Or maybe you plan a girls' trip, or even something with your kids if you wanted to go see family somewhere. So those are some different ways that I would encourage you to take care of yourself. You've got to, I think the biggest thing is like break out of the routine. For me anyway, like I've got to do something different. So we'll move into our third tip for today, and that's to journal and pray about it. Of course, I'm a life coach, so I have to say this, like journaling is everything, you guys. If you are having trouble getting your mind right, if your mind is in a hurricane, the best thing you can do is get out your pen and paper and start writing things down. And here, I'll give you a formula for how you can get yourself out of that resentment. So this is, if you have pen and paper now, it would be a good time. First of all, I would say journal down all of the negative feelings that you're thinking. Like these are okay, these are acceptable, but we want to get them out of your brain and onto paper. And that's one way to honor them and honor yourself. Like you're honoring yourself, you're saying, okay, here is how I feel. And I'm just putting it all on paper, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then the second step is to write a statement for how you want your marriage relationship with your husband to be. So for an example, I want my relationship with my husband to be peaceful and fun. I want there to be peace between us, and I want it to be fun. And so then you look at your negative feelings and you say, okay, so there's all this negativity, but that's not how I want my relationship with my husband to be. I want it to be peaceful and fun. And you might have other adjectives to describe yours. So the third step then, once you've got this statement of intention for how you want your marriage relationship to be, the third step is to write down that everything you're grateful for in your relationship and in your day. So maybe on this particular trip your husband's on, you're grateful it's only 3 days instead of 5 days. Maybe you're grateful that he's checked in with you a couple of times today. Maybe you're grateful that this job is, allowing your family to have the lifestyle that you want. Find those things that you can be grateful for. This is scientifically proven to help turn your mind around. Because remember what we said in the beginning, what you focus on is what you notice more. So if you're focusing on all of the benefits that could come out of this trip and all the things you're grateful for, then it will help you be more grateful. So, other things you might be grateful for could also be, I'm grateful that my friend came over for a play date with her child today to break up the monotony for me, or I'm grateful that we do have enough income that I could go out to dinner with the kids during the week instead of just being stuck at home. So, find all of those things around the situation that you're grateful for, okay? And the final step is just to take one action step in your marriage that will help it be the intention statement that you set. So if you said, I want to have a happy, peaceful, fun relationship, what could you do today, even with your husband out of town, that would create that in your marriage? Life coaching is all about action. So what could you do today to create that for your husband? Okay? So that is the journaling technique. Now, finally, here's the very last little tip that I have, and I saved this one for last on purpose. So this is the fourth tip, I think, that we have here today. The fourth tip is to serve your husband while he's gone. I know, right? You're like, what? Wait, he's out there having all this fun, and now you're saying that I should do something to serve him? I am saying yes. maybe ask him, what is one thing that I could do to best support you while you're gone? What would lessen your stress while you're gone? And the reason I'm suggesting this tip to you is because it is proven that when we are kind to others, it lessens our own suffering. So, for example, one of the things that my husband likes us to do when he's gone is to water his plants. It's always one of the first things he does when he comes home and asks us about, does anyone water the flowers? Like, that's a big thing. So if he knows that we've got that taken care of, he can relax a little bit more and not worry about that. It's a small thing, but there probably are bigger things, but that's just the example that came to my mind when I was thinking about this for you guys. So it's important to serve your husband. And I'm telling you, the reason I'm telling you this is because if you will do this, then you will get back in return tenfold what you give out. Okay? So it's a very loving, kind thing for you to do. And kindness works. Because what we all want is, throwing your own adjectives, but we all want peaceful, happy, fun, romantic relationships, right? So then we need to be taking actions that can help bring that into our relationship. So even when our husband is traveling, we can certainly do that. Okay, guys, I think that's the end of my part for today. I would like to tell you that on this note, I am offering a kindness challenge. It's through Shanti Feldhahn in her book. You can email me, tina@heisman.net. We're starting June 12th, so if you're interested in that. Also, I have a free mini marriage makeover that will help you fix challenges in your marriage like this. This would be a great tool that you could use on your husband traveling. You can find it on my website, tinaheisman.com, and you can download your copy for free. Don't forget to join the Happy Wives community on Facebook. And, of course, I offer one-on-one coaching for women only. So stop by my website or email me if you would like to work on taking your marriage from good to great, or if you're even in a place where you're really struggling in your marriage and you need someone to help you out. I will be here for you. Okay, thank you so much for joining this call today, and I hope that it was very helpful. And I will talk to you again next week.